Good morning, everybody. Today is a little bit of an early one, so it's just gone past 6 o'clock, and I'm on my way to Harley Golf Centre for my third lesson with Chris Brook. So I had my second lesson just over a month ago, so it's been a little while. I was practicing a fair bit after that second lesson, but I've had a lot going on in between. I've moved house, there's a lot going on with things at work. I was in Cornwall for a week on the Cornish Festival as well. So I haven't been able to put in as much time into the practice as I would have liked. So I'm hoping that my golf swing is still transforming and moving in the right direction. So I'd like to have a quick checkup on that to check that I am definitely incorporating all of the movements and the changes that we have tried to implement. And then for those of you that have watched the last lesson, Chris has touched on the direction that we could go in, which would be working on my swing tempo. I've never really known or even really thought too much in terms of details of my tempo, so that would be really interesting to find out exactly what my natural tempo is, if that's actually too quick, too slow, or if that is actually something that I want to head towards. My golf has been trending in a good direction. I do feel like I'm swinging it better, and more recently my scoring has started to improve, which is always good, obviously. And something I have actually noticed, especially in my most recent video, which I'll link in the top right hand side of the description. This was a video where I aimed at the middle of every green and actually had my best round of the year in terms of scoring. I didn't hit a huge amount of greens in regulation, but one thing I did notice was that my overall feeling and speed of play and I suppose tempo seemed very comfortable, and yeah, it was something just clicked with it. But yeah, I'm very interested to find out more about this subject within the golf swing and within playing golf, because it's something I haven't really tapped into, and I think you guys might find it interesting as well. So I haven't really seen anyone talk about this too detailed. Everything's more about swing mechanics, and this is why I really enjoy going to see Chris, because every time I go to see him, it is like going back to school, but in a good way. I actually feel like every time I go there I learn something completely new, and it sort of blows any idea of the golf swing and playing golf out the water in my head. I'm just like come away from it thinking, Jesus, like didn't realise I could learn so much in an hour. So yes, anyway, enough of my waffling. I'll see you in the studio in a second, and hopefully we will bring you some content which is going to be interesting and something that you can find valuable. The outcome's been better.
Good.
My ball striking's been better, and my scoring has started to come down as well a little bit.
Brilliant. Is that because of the ball striking better, or?
Yeah, I think overall, and I've had something disciplined to work on, and now that's started to creep into my game more. I'm starting to think less about the technique on the golf course, because straight after the lesson I was really in thinking mode when I was playing golf, really trying to, because I don't want to work on something with you and then go straight to the course and go back to my old default. I know sometimes it's easier to play like that, but then it's harder to do the switch. So I've had to go through that horrible stage of like hitting some bad shots on the golf course, just so I can try and bring the new swing into actually playing.
Yeah.
And that I'm starting to think less and less about that on the golf course now, which
Brilliant.
is just allowing me just to play and react more to targets.
So what sort of scores are you now?
My most recent round, which was on Monday, I actually did a video just aiming at the middle of every green, which I've never done before. So I thought I want to do a video on that and see if that helps. And I actually didn't hit that many greens, 40%, but I missed in good places.
Right.
And I was just saying in the intro that it freed something up inside of me, and something clicked in terms of tempo and everything, where I shot level par and I had 25 putts, but
I wasn't worried if I was going to make a bogey, even if I missed the green, because I missed it in a good spot because of the aim in the middle of the green.
Yeah.
Wasn't my best ball striking, but to shoot level par, only hitting 40% of the greens, knowing that my short game is the worst part of my game.
Wow.
Yeah, it gave me a lot of positives.
So I guess in a way, the short game, you know, can be measured by, you know, up and down, can't you? But of course, you might be sort of wrong-siding yourself all the time.
Exactly.
And look as though you're rubbish at your short game.
Yeah.
But actually you're not.
Yeah, I'm just missing it in really difficult spots.
Yeah.
For example, hole 1 and 2, aimed at the middle of the green, and the pin was on the right. I pushed both shots to 10 feet right of the pin. But if I was aiming at the pin, I'm missing it short-sided.
Yeah.
So it showed me like, I need to actually start aiming at the middle of the green more and just forget the pin, which is, it was really hard to do. And I didn't hit many middle of the greens, but it shows you like, well, even the pros aren't hitting it exactly where they want to all the time, are they?
So you wanted the ball to finish in the middle of the green or start in the middle of the green?
Well, that's the thing. In my head, I'm thinking I want it to finish in the middle of the green, but in theory, all I was doing was aiming at the middle of the green.
Okay.
So I wasn't, say if I was on a side hill lie, I wasn't aiming left side of the green for it to finish in the middle.
Okay.
I probably should have done that a bit more focused, but I was just saying in my head, keep it really simple, just free myself up, just take the middle yardage on my GPS and just aim at the middle. Just keep it really simple.
So you're trying to actually carry it onto the middle as well?
Yeah, okay. So I played the middle yardage as my carry yardage.
Okay,
which was difficult when if I saw, for example, on 14 at Hamptworth, pin was at the back. So I know if I'm playing middle yardage, it's going to hit the slope and I'm going to have a horrible long putt. I was like, I've got to do it for the video.
And did you?
I actually thinned it.
Okay.
I think subconsciously I was thinking I need to give this a little bit more. Thinned it, pitched on top, span back to the front, and I made a good 2-putt.
Okay.
So, but my putting was probably the best putting I've ever done. Even the ones I missed, it was end over end, online, and I just missed it. But the new putter is game changer.
Is that the?
It's an even roll, but it's like the lab equivalent.
Okay.
And it's 38 inch. Ever since I've had this, all I've got to do in my head is read the green right, aim my TP5 stripe up correctly, and then that's it. It's always end over end with it. It's completely transformed my putting. So it's zero torque. It's like a lab concept. But I really like the weight of it and the fact that it's slightly longer.
Yeah.
And
easy to line up.
Really easy to line up because the balls I use, I don't like a single line, like a double line. So that literally matches bang on with that. And all I've got in my head is, all I've got to do is roll it along that. And just watching that roll end over end, even if it misses, I know I put a good roll on it.
I like that second ball there. That's nice, isn't it? That almost draws your eye. Wow.
I really struggle with a single line. I can't line the single line up at all. So having the double line, along with the double line on the putter,
So, lie angle, was that adjusted or
no?
Just stock?
Obviously, where I work, I've just tried a few out and had a few putts with that and was rolling every putt end over end. I was like...
And it's aluminium?
I'm not too sure.
I think it's aluminium, yeah. Wow.
But yeah, it's made a massive difference. And putting's generally been my strength, but I had really bad putting days with my old putter. And I was starting to feel really uncomfortable with it. And then, just had to go with that. I was like, game changer.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So carrying on from last lesson, look at the posture again, double check everything, and then moving forward, if that's all okay.
Yeah.
What?
So you touched on a little bit about tempo in the last lesson. Which I thought was really interesting, and obviously from my round on Monday, that's one thing I felt was something which helped me psychologically. Was like the whole round felt like a good tempo, not consciously or whatever. It was just So that's something I would like to touch on.
Okay.
I think that would be really interesting, and yeah, it'd be cool to do a video on that because I've never really delved into that at all.
Yeah.
Especially in when you were saying 3, 2, 1, or the
Yes.
actual number of my natural tempo.
Yeah.
So I know that that's one thing that gets away from me when I'm not playing well, or if I'm being rushed or something, and then I start to create bad swings off of that.
Yeah. So do you know what you mentioned you hit some really good shots. Were you conscious of those being a different tempo or?
No.
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 Okay.
No, all I know with on Monday is that everything just felt at a nice pace. It felt comfortable. And to be fair, we had the whole golf course to ourselves.
Oh, nice.
So filming wasn't an issue. I wasn't worried about holding anyone up.
Lovely.
So whatever that tempo was, it felt comfortable to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
It just felt, it didn't feel slow, it didn't feel quick, it just felt smooth. And then that obviously went into my golf swing as well a bit.
Yeah. Brilliant.
But yeah, I haven't got a clue what that is.
You're going to, I think you're going to like this one.
And I've had lots of comments actually on the last video we did, because you did mention a little bit about that, and people want to see that as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So is it growing?
The lesson videos are doing really well actually, considering they're like over an hour long and I don't really edit them that much.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they get over 1,000 views.
And they watch pretty much the whole hour?
The average view duration is probably, it's longer than my other videos because it's a longer video.
Yes.
But yeah, there's some people that watch the full hour, some people
Bloody
watch like
hell.
10 minutes or whatever and then come back to it.
Wow.
But people like lesson videos and they like to see a journey of someone trying to improve,
Yes.
so I want to sort of try and keep that going.
Yeah. A girl I coach, she's kind of trying to, well, she was trying to make progress in her game, and she started to do the video. She recorded all of her lessons, but she never got round to continuing, and
Okay.
it was a shame really because her viewers were really wrong way around. Her viewers were really interested in the journey, because I think I think golf plays such a major role, or I should say that the journey plays such a major role in golf.
Yeah.
To the point where it's almost like more interesting for people to watch than actually someone just saying, ball position or.
100%.
Yeah, it's quite.
And the concept obviously that you go into are very different to your average PGA pro, and I think people are interested to learn and to find out things which you don't read in books, or like you don't really see in other videos and things like that. And obviously don't really teach a lot of this, like we mentioned earlier, on the PGA and stuff like that. So
No, I think it's they're generally a bit uncharted territory for that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we just need to calibrate you up. Great. So Whoop must have looked pretty bad at Cornwall then.
Well, I didn't have it charged up at that point.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
But I have had before.
After a heavy night, it would have been like red.
Yeah, I've had before where it's been 1%. That's how badly I suffer from it.
Wow.
Yeah. Whereas everyone else is fine, but I'm the person that always, I think I've got an intolerance or something.
Yeah.
And trying to play golf the next day is not good. Is that calibrated?
Yeah, that's all done. Yeah.
I've got A-tine, is that
A-tine,
okay?
yeah. Great. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Okay, good to go.
Actually felt quite nice for the first shot of the day.
How long do you spend warming up before you go play?
Usually about half an hour.
Okay.
I've tried to be a bit better with it. I'm still not where I want to be with it. I still want to spend a bit longer and definitely make sure I go and hit some golf balls.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just requires me to get there at least an hour beforehand, really.
Yeah. Okay, so pretty good. Hip alignment is a little bit closed.
Closed, okay.
Yeah, so from the calibration point, you're just slightly rotated clockwise,
Okay.
With the pelvis. Not overly important. The thing is with golf is that I think it's very important that people actually create a setup which is going to create a very good dynamic impact position.
Yep.
People are so sort of obsessed about getting everything perfectly sort of squared and paralleled up, but in actual fact, you know, very seldom do people deliver that setup to impact.
Yeah.
So I think part of it is, I think it's okay now to see a modern day swing look a little bit obscure and a bit odd,
Yeah.
unconventional in the setup. Like with me, for example, I set up with the face very, very open. If you took the leading edge, for example, it wouldn't be unusual to see my leading edge, say, almost like 2:30.
Yeah.
Because when I take the club back, my body responds to a very sort of anti-clockwise rotation of the club. So I get the club face very square, and I deliver square.
It's a little bit like Stenson used to do.
Exactly.
Used to be
Yeah,
like,
I can't start with the face square, rotate it square, keep it square. It just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not too dissimilar. Posture, you've
Okay.
nailed it.
That's good, because I felt like my posture recently has not been as good, but maybe I'm just getting used to having a straighter back.
Yeah,
I know
100%.
that's something I'm trying to do consciously, especially with my lower back. Sometimes I forget to put awareness on my upper back to have it better, but
Yeah.
it's good that.
No, I think,
Seems like it's okay.
and visually as well, I think, yeah, I mean, that's a huge, I mean, that looks fabulous now. Yeah. Head's nice and up as well, so a much more sort of active setup position there. So pelvis turn at the top 43, which is pretty good. 11 degrees of side bend tilt, so very stable in that respect. Upper body turn better, 88, so it's definitely creeping up.
Yeah.
And like it doesn't look like now, like from sort of 6 weeks ago, it doesn't look like now like you're having to work as hard to do it.
It doesn't. And that was the first swing at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly.
Where I haven't actually hit a ball yet until then. So
Yeah, so that's all heading in the right direction. Clearing your hips nicely at impact. Upper body also opening up at impact. I mean, you know, 23, 26, it's not important as such. And you don't want to get too spinny either, because then you have coordination issues. Pelvis side bend wall. So you're slightly shut and a little bit.
That is what I've been thinking, because seeing some of the footage from Monday and from Friday, I still feel like this is exaggerated obviously, but I still feel like I'm this way.
Yeah.
I'm really struggling to try and get that.
Yeah.
It's posted, isn't
That's
it?
right.
The word at the top.
Yeah, I mean, you're not actually in a bad position at the top. So although you started off at 11, 3, minus 3 tilted, you're only 11 at the top. So you haven't actually moved excessively.
Okay.
I mean, it's actually only 8 degrees of movement, which is good. But yeah, I think if we could just kind of push that hip a bit more forward. Okay, so upper body bend at address 42. Upper body side bend at the top. So bend turns into side bend.
Yeah.
So 34. So you're a little bit up out of posture, but part of that I think is because you're turning more.
Yeah.
So I think we can excuse a little bit of that. 52 at impact. So your spine is slightly sort of like going a bit soft at impact.
Okay.
Not an uncommon thing to do. I mean, early on in the morning, first shot. But generally speaking, I think we like to feel like we sort of, I don't know, sort of like sag into it, feel like we put some pressure into the ball, get some downward squeeze. So we tend to kind of do it from relaxing our posture. I think when we talk about feel in the swing, holding something tense and stiff is quite difficult to kind of then get feel from.
Yeah.
So again, something that may be something we need to look at some point, but
So the feeling would be more feeling like I'm in posture at impact. Would you say?
probably more feeling that you're maintaining a distance that feels further away from the ball than what you currently are. It's like you're trying to almost like...
Interesting you say about that, because I have been feeling at address that I feel like I'm stood too far away, and I have been trying to move a little bit closer. So if I'm a bit too far away, then that might make me get more into
Exactly.
this worst position, rather than if I'm a bit closer,
Yeah.
I can stay a bit more upright.
Yeah, and certainly with it's a common thing that I see trending in probably sort of like the pitch shots, the little chip and runs,
Yeah.
where we want to try and feather it. We tend to kind of feather
Dip
it with a
into it.
spine,
Yeah.
whereas the feathering needs to kind of come a little bit more from the legs.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a look at the sequence. Okay, so definitely changing. What's nice now is just before you finish the backswing, your pelvis is starting to lead the transition, and it also takes the lead for, okay, probably the first
come in a
eighth.
bit.
Yeah, then the club sort of gets still a little bit dominant in the swing.
Yeah.
So if we took the club out of it, then between the pelvis and upper body, you're actually leading the pelvis nicely, and we're looking to lead to about midway down, so halfway through the downswing. The hips then sort of begin to not stop, but slow down as the upper body accelerates. And you're managing to get the pelvis to kind of peak just fractionally before the pelvis. So that's quite a good sequence there.
This is the bit I've struggled with.
Yes.
Trying to get that club to really wait.
Yeah.
Especially with the feeling that we went through on the last lesson, which was the drag and lag. It's obviously getting there, and then the change of direction is then creating the shallowness.
Yes.
That's where my club suddenly just wants to go straight away, rather than just wait for a bit.
Yeah.
That's the thing I've struggled with the most, because it's exactly like complete opposite of what I've always done.
Yeah. So it's like, well, okay, so if the club, and this leads us nicely on to what we're going to do as well, is it's like, okay, well, if the club is overtaking at this point here, okay, what is basically making that club overtake? Obviously some sort of instruction or some sort of interference is happening because your body is moving. I think generally we move our golf swing on the basis of either what we're reacting to or what we're sensing. We're kind of almost like trying to predetermine at every stage in our swing what the potential outcome is going. So we're always relating the feeling of our swing based upon an assumption of what's going to happen, which is based on our perception of what is going to happen as opposed to what could happen. It's like, so of course if our brain is running the show in terms of like our thoughts are provoking a reaction in our swing, then obviously our thoughts are emotional driven, stress, etc., or is it based upon a very robust sort of calm, unemotional thought? So I think generally speaking, the transition now, you could say, is probably where your brain, your thoughts are at its kind of most happiest. But then after that change, it's like, okay, now we're approaching the ball. It's a bit like landing a plane. You know, it's kind of easy to line it up, but then of course, then it's like, you know, the final, and of course that becomes emotional. So I tend to find that very much, particularly with the lower handicap golfers, obviously because we're taking on obviously a very tight pin position, let's say. Obviously, you know, there's a lot that could go wrong. So of course, you know, there's a lot of stress involved. So what you did on the last time you played kind of almost like took that emotional stress out of it. So therefore it allowed your body to kind of almost not get influenced by your emotion.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you know, in here, there's nothing here, so there's no pressure, but yet we can still see something is making you throw the club.
Yeah.
Now, is it technical? Could be. But equally, is it something that is a habitual thought in your swing? So
I think it's more to do with it being like a fuller and longer swing, because when I try this technique with my 55, for example, where I'm just doing a 3/4 swing, I can really feel the club lag behind, and I've sort of cleared everything through, and then the only thing that's got to come through is the club head, and I really feel the compression and the shallowness.
Brilliant.
I struggle to feel it with a fuller swing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because the club head speed's there and I'm thinking I need to swing it quicker, and that's when everything else tries to take over.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I've definitely felt the club behind more and
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
But it's not with a full swing.
Yeah. So, you can definitely see the hips going first, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Shoulders going first. And then we can kind of begin to see the release happening a little bit too soon there.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's enter your mind now.
Oh, okay.
So the tempo is very much based. A lot of people look at tempo from the standpoint of what their body is doing.
Okay.
But I would predominantly say that over the time I've been doing this, I would say that the tempo is basically, rather than body tempo, it's mind tempo.
Yeah.
And I would say that what happens is that when our brain is non-accelerating, our thoughts are not accelerating because of obviously stress levels.
Yeah.
Our body reacts to our thinking speed. So for example, if we go up to the top of the backswing and our thoughts then go, our brain thoughts go onto the downswing because we're anxious about the shot we're trying to hit, then our body catches up the thoughts, which then accelerates the tempo. So it's almost like the body tempo is based upon the brain tempo. And if the brain is calm, I mean, you've probably had those experiences like we've all had, where everything just feels like it's like in the Matrix slow motion mode, where there's bullets flying across and you're just like dodging them easily. And you just feel this, oh my God, everything feels slow, but clubhead speed is up, ball speed is long. And it's trying to get into that state of sort of serenity and calmness.
Like Justin Rose in the last round of the Masters. He was like,
exactly.
he went into that place which every golfer dreams of.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is hard to tap into, but what is that place?
What is that place? So we can look at your brain now.
Okay.
So if you take your hat off, okay, these three sensors, they're going to go on the forehead.
Okay.
And then you're going to strap it round. The pressure against the skin wants to be quite firm, so it might, after a little while, you'll start to feel like you're being drained.
Just on the forehead, yeah?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Great.
What is this called?
This is called the FocusBand.
FocusBand.
It's an Australian company that developed it some time ago, and they've been doing a lot of work, not just in the sport industry, but also in the corporate industry, and it's very interesting.
I saw Peter Finch did a video on this a while back.
Did you?
Yeah.
The Australian?
No,
He's
UK YouTuber.
Ah, okay.
But he's a pro, and
okay.
But he
and he uses it, does he?
I don't know if he still does, but he did a video on it, I think like a year ago or 2 years ago.
Right. Oh, good. Okay.
Does it need to be in the centre?
Kind of centre-ish, but that's, we got it all working up. Okay, so the first thing we've got to do is we've got to calibrate your kind of level of intensity of focus.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to, in a second, we're going to switch over to a different screen, which will be a head, and I sort of want you to really try and focus on the avatar's eye, and just try and really zone in. It's about 40 seconds.
Okay.
And then we'll get an idea of where we are. So, okay, right.
Have I got to focus on his eye?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so it is
I could
early
feel-
in the morning.
I could feel myself getting distracted every time that brain changed colour. And every time I went into thinking, I saw the brain change colour, and then I went, that was quite hard.
So out of 100%, 100% would be when you're in deep meditative state.
Yeah.
Your baseline is 15. So it is early
Very
in the morning.
distracted.
From a playing standpoint,
Yeah.
we're trying to aim for a focus of say 40-45%. But like I said, it takes a little bit of time to get used to. But
Yeah.
okay, so what we've got is we've got the two hemispheres. Do you know much about the hemispheres?
A little bit.
Okay,
not a huge
so
amount.
basically the left hemisphere, the one that flashes up red, that's the analytical side. So when we're trying to do, I don't know, mathematics, or we're trying to focus on planning the shot, usually we're doing that in the left hemisphere. And by and large, we generally live in one of the two hemispheres. The right hemisphere is the artistic person. It's the person that imagines, that visualizes, the painter, the artist. So of course, when you're visualizing the shot, hopefully if you're good at that, you're going to be doing it more in the right side of the brain. Generally, we like to say that the right hemisphere is really the flow state, the state where we're not analyzing, we're just in a lovely, tranquil, flowing state. So meditation needs to be done in the right hemisphere. And then what we've got is these two beams that are coming up here. Now, the yellow one, that's measuring how much bandwidth of information you're taking in your peripheral vision. So obviously, if you're really centering the eye, that's great. And then the laser beam that comes out, that means that your eyes are absolutely still. Okay.
That's what I'm trying to do there.
Exactly. So obviously, if you're taking in a lot of information, you're distracted by something. Obviously, that's going to get super wide. So you can see that it's really it's a wonderful way of seeing the truth of what's happening, because people say, "Are you concentrating?" Well, I'm concentrating. Yeah, but it's only 15%. So, but you're concentrating, but it's weak concentration. But that's habit, really. Okay, so let's hit this next shot.
Okay.
I'm going to then bring it up here so we can have a look at what happens during. Let's put it on this one. Okay. Okay. Great, let's do it again.
That's fat.
So from a thinking point of view, was there anything that during that swing you had sort of this interesting conversation with yourself?
I don't think I wasn't consciously thinking during the swing, but beforehand I could hear myself thinking, and was just trying to let the thinking happen whilst I was getting ready.
Okay.
And then I was literally just trying to focus at the ball and not trying to think, but just trying to focus on the ball.
And is that what you would do on the golf
No.
course?
Sometimes I would be thinking about trying to get that
Okay.
dragon lag feeling, or I don't know, thinking the ball position is in the wrong place, or I don't know.
So, okay. So let's see if you can kind of replicate that scenario. So you're on the golf course.
If I just If I imagine myself on like the 8th at Hamptworth or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
And that's probably the shot I would hit as well. Yeah. That's my miss on that hole.
Okay.
So, that's interesting.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
I really did imagine myself there, and that is, if I'm going to miss it, that is how I miss it.
Okay, so here's the previous one, so that last one. So very good address. You can see that you've got a very strong sort of peaceful state there. Laser beam, peripheral vision very tight, so excellent. And you hold that very well. See a nice drag away there. Good. Great. Now, sort of about here. Okay, there. Okay, so halfway, probably 2/3 of the way through the backswing, suddenly the lights sort of get a bit dim. So you can see that your eye focus is now gone.
Okay.
The darkness of the focus in your right hemisphere has dropped. And still kind of quite good, but the peripheral vision's getting a little bit wider. And then obviously you hit the golf ball, now you go into reaction. Now it's like, what's the ball done?
Yeah.
So you can see immediately after you've hit the ball,
Yeah.
it's now obviously your peripheral vision's going wider because you're starting to search for it.
Yeah.
And then of course you're in your, as soon as we see that go off, we're now into the left
Interesting,
hemisphere.
isn't it? Really interesting.
So next one, good.
Which one was this one? Second
This
one?
was the second one, yeah. So again, very good setup. Left arm parallel, same thing happens. So at this point here, this is probably where you almost open the door to allow thoughts to come in.
That's interesting.
And of course, at that point in the swing, your brain now, at this point, is moved on to getting ready to hit the ball.
Yeah.
So you've left the backswing
Yeah.
here, and this is why people, I would say, generally can't judge the length of their backswing properly. They always feel like they're going back longer than what they, is that right? No, they always feel, which way around? They always feel like their backswing is shorter than what it really is.
Yeah.
Because their brain
Just
is
switch it
already
on.
now thinking, oh, I've done my backswing. Now you're starting to prepare. So we're always trying to be like one step ahead with our thoughts to lead the swing, but you're only like halfway back.
Yeah.
So you're already now. So this is kind of enabling now for you to start thinking about, okay, I'm starting to think about the transition now. So then thoughts can come in. It opens up the ability then for your brain to start getting emotional,
Yeah.
and for you to be then either reacting to the thoughts or not. The eye focus obviously is shifted
Yeah.
away. Transition,
Is that linked then? So let's just say if I hit another one now and I just focus on the ball the whole time, is that linked to the right side of the brain as well? So the more you focus on something, the more you can stay in that sort of flow state on your right side.
Yeah, I would say the focus on the ball with the eye, so the eye focus mainly has quite a big effect on the quality of the strike.
Okay.
The eye sort of almost slightly tells the brain where the ball is. So you're keeping almost like your scope sort of lasered on that target. You can kind of be very focused here, but in your left hemisphere as well.
Okay.
So the two are not quite as linked. So you could be left hemisphere, but still very focused.
Yeah. The only reason why I asked that was because I consciously can remember really focusing on the ball with the backswing, but after that, I don't know where my focus was.
Yeah, and I think that is because, I'm guessing, but I think that's because when you reach this point here, you think you're a lot further on than what you are.
Yeah.
So it's almost at this point here, your perception, I think, is that you're at the top of the backswing.
Yeah.
Where you're only halfway back,
Yeah.
and you're already moving on to the next thing.
Yeah, and that's how I feel like when I'm hitting golf balls as well, trying to get this new technique. I feel like I'm not getting to the top before I'm getting that lag feeling. I feel like that's starting really early.
Yeah, and it's really that your brain is not at the top of the backswing.
Okay.
Your focus isn't at the top. So
Yeah.
of course, if you imagine now, your brain is already starting to prepare to swing down.
Yeah.
Well, your timing is going to be screwed, isn't it? Because it's not synced up.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it goes, the swing's only there. The brain's saying, right, let's focus on the downswing. It's going, well, hold on a minute, I haven't even swung back yet, and you want me to swing down? Yeah, swing down. Okay, and you can imagine why your tempo is.
So, but at that point in my swing, should my hips start to unload or not yet?
They should start to prepare.
Okay.
But you're doing it by your focus.
Yes.
As opposed to just your body. So you're being a little bit, it's the right move.
It's a bit premature.
But it's sort of, the thinking is too, so this could slow down in preparation to move.
Right.
But your brain has to be with the top of the backswing still.
Okay.
The focus has to be still, prepare.
Yeah.
But keep going. But it's not. So then what happens is that your thoughts now are going into the downswing.
Yeah.
Your backswing still hasn't been finished.
Yeah.
You then do the transition. Your brain is going, right, hit the ball. The club's still up there. So it's like, whoosh. So it's trying to catch up your thinking.
Yeah.
As opposed to, and that's why you throw it from the top.
Yeah.
You're actually loading it, but you're loading it and throwing it because your brain wants you to hit the ball now.
Yeah.
It's kind of rushing. So timing and rhythm, in a simple way, is done through your brain tempo, and then your body will then react or match up to that. Whereas we tend to think tempo is through the body, but it's actually through the brain.
Yeah.
So what we've got to do is we've got to extend this thought. So you can see now you're starting to hunt for that ball. You're starting to pick up bits and pieces here. You're scanning. Okay, and then of course, so it's the same thing. So you're back into that red hemisphere, wide peripheral vision. Okay, so this was the Hampworth one. So very intense there. Good drag away. Okay, going out of green. So now that's earlier than what it was just a minute ago.
Yeah.
If we take the one before, you didn't actually go out of green. Oh, you did. Yeah. You set pretty much the same place. Yeah, actually a bit earlier.
Yeah, a bit earlier.
Yeah.
It was almost 3/4 on the way.
Yeah.
That's just arm parallel, wasn't it?
Yeah. So now look at that.
Completely white.
Yeah, and all into these. So when that's white, that's going to be red. So you're now in the left hemisphere. So you're in total thinking mode. So all that sort of meditative state that you're in, that harmony, has just gone out the window. Stress levels are high, and then you nearly heel struck it and left the face open.
Yep.
So you have to basically, when we talk about tempo, let's pull that last one up.
It's so interesting because it completely correlates with everything I've felt in my swing when it doesn't feel good, is where it feels short, doesn't feel like I complete the backswing. And well, it makes sense because in my brain, I'm not completing the backswing, am I? I'm switching
Exactly.
off.
And what's really bizarre is that despite the swing being, you know, from address to impact in 1.2 seconds, 1.2 seconds is too slow for the body, for the brain, it's too much time. 1 second is too much time. It's like, you know, if you take, for example, the heartbeat, so snipers very much pull the trigger between the beats of their heart. So we're talking about probably like 1/10 of a second.
Yeah.
So 10 milliseconds, which is just, we can't even comprehend that in terms of time, in terms of, but that is where it feels at its easiest.
Yeah.
We've got 1.2 seconds. I mean, it's like too much time, the floodgates for the,
Yeah.
that's why why do people play better with a short backswing? Because less time to think.
Yeah.
The problem is that because we're trying to do a full backswing, of course, you know, that becomes the issue. So let me just pull, that's about impact there. So yours is 3.2 to 1. So your total swing duration was 1 second. So from address to impact, 1 second. And that was 818 milliseconds, 255, which is not too bad. A little bit quick, took too long on the backswing and then a fraction too quick on the downswing. But of course, you know, that's your tempo. Take the good shot here. Okay, so 1, 2, so 896, so you took longer. Did you take? Yeah, you did. And 3. So you actually took longer, yeah. And the length of time difference was, 818 milliseconds versus 896.
So my more natural and better rhythm is closer to like a 3.5 than to 1.
Yes.
Would be better than that as well.
Absolutely. But if you go quick, like on that pressure one Hantworth shot, you know, we're only talking about like, 80 milliseconds, but my goodness, what a difference that.
But I can really feel that as well, which I've said in previous lessons, is when I'm not playing my best, my tempo feels too quick.
Yes, yeah. So, let's pull that back up. Okay, so what we need to do...
That's really interesting.
...is we need to slow the brain down.
Okay.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to put on some tone.
Okay.
Very creepy tone. So the idea being is that when you're in a very heightened state of alertness, you will hear tone. If you're in that state that the Japanese call mushin, state of nothingness, then you won't hear a tone.
Okay.
So as you head off and you get to that left arm parallel and we see yourself drift, we'll suddenly hear this horrible creepy
and then it'll
music.
Probably get even worse because
and
you're
it'll
thinking
get worse.
About the tone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's have a go.
Okay. Am I hitting this?
Yes. So the idea is before you hit it, you got to be in that nice calm. Great, whenever you're ready.
Ooh.
Sorry, my bad.
Good.
Yep. Better.
Really, really, really tried to just focus on the ball then.
You did well. Have a look at this one. So, see, that would be where you drift off.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I made it to the top.
You did.
Okay, so I know that by trying to focus on the ball,
much better.
Almost all the way to the impact.
Yeah. Laser beam. And then quite naturally it comes.
Okay.
Let's have a look at the tempo on that one.
all I was trying to do then was just completely focus on the ball and just not think about anything else.
Super. Okay, so that's the start. 1, 2, 3. There you go.
Oh, so it's 3-1.
3-1.
But then my backswing might have been slower from that then. So
8:32. So I think we had a
because I think it was a 3.2.
8:96. So that was the pre kind of Hampworth one. So, and then Hampworth one was 8:18. And that was 8:32. But the difference is that your downswing, the one before Hampworth one was 2.63.
Okay.
The Hampworth one was 2.55, so you came down quicker, and that last one was 2.77 because you were calmer.
Okay.
So you didn't have this snatchy, jerky rhythm because your brain
So my
was
downswing
busy.
took longer.
Your downswing took longer.
Interesting.
So you went a little bit quicker back,
Yeah.
but then the transition was more fluid, which is why it took longer.
That's interesting. So sometimes if I'm trying to, in the past, so I was trying to slow my tempo down, sometimes that might actually be quicker because I'm slowing the backswing down. And then if I'm getting snatchy here, then that's actually going to speed up my...
Yes, but of course, because your brain, because you were so focused and busy focusing, you could, I mean, if I asked you on that last one, do you know what you did at the top of the backswing?
I haven't got a clue.
It's creepy, isn't it? It's like,
But I know
oh
what
my
the ball
God.
looked like.
Exactly. But suddenly it's like, you know, and this is what I say to like, you know, some tour players, it's like, you know, I can say, oh, how did that feel on the backswing? And they literally go, I don't know. And they never feel it. And you think, oh my God, are you like, but you're this like superstar pro. Surely you know what you did. No? Should I? Then they start to question themselves. But honestly, that's because they're just so out of the way. They're just playing the golf shot.
It's funny you say this because obviously since the last lesson, that was like a big change in my mind of like the transition, which I've never felt before, very opposite of what I've ever felt. And a couple of my playing partners who I play with a lot of the time have said to me, you just look like you're thinking so much over the ball.
Yeah.
And I hadn't been playing great at that point because I've been trying to implement the new feelings. And obviously I'm probably trying too hard to do it, which results me in too much thinking.
Well, I would honestly say because of the passion that recreational golfers have in golf, they love the technology, they love learning, they love YouTube. The brain is always switched on.
Yeah.
And they sadly never get to the stage where the brain is switched off.
Yeah.
And that's why they stay very much attached to a particular score or particular style of play, because they're always wanting to get better. We're always wanting to get better, but there's got to be a point where we've got to almost like try and not stop get better, but actually learn to go, okay, you know, compartmentalize. You know, so here you focus on the swing, but you also have to train to not focus on the swing. You have to train not to focus on it.
Yeah.
So it becomes a subconscious competence.
Yeah.
And this is where tempo comes in.
Yeah.
When you're subconsciously competent, your tempo improves, as we saw there. Whereas when you're consciously competent, your tempo will be crap, and then your ball striking will be erratic as well, even though you've got a perfect swing.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, the key thing here really to summarize is the fact that, you know, to work on your tempo, to get that tempo around 3-1, which is what we're looking for, you need a nice balance where you're not too slow back, you're certainly not too fast down, but all of that is driven by the thoughts.
Yeah.
And at left arm parallel, that's when we start overthinking because of the anxiety. If we can actually practice, you know, the old cliche, meditative states, if we can practice meditating, if we can hold that kind of thought of nothingness, okay, there's a risk of then losing control of our swing and our movements, but equally you'll actually hit it, your swing might not necessarily be as good, but your ball striking will be better, your timing will be better because you're out of the way for yourself. and of course that leads to then better kinematic
Well,
sequence
where
as
did
well.
that actually go out of interest?
Yeah, it was a lovely little start, little right and nice draw back in. Yeah,
I didn't even have a clue.
brilliant, very
Yeah,
good.
That was very, very, very interesting.
So tempo is very much that case. It's not so much the tempo of your body,
Yeah.
but rather
tempo of your mind.
the tempo of the mind. And of course, if your mind is in a highly stressed place, which golf provokes, then that's a big factor. So of course, aiming for the middle of the green is a nice. It's like your monkey then goes to sleep and you can relax a bit more. So the more you can relax, weirdly, the better.